Entitled origin family think they have rights to control my beliefs, values, and lifestyle as an adult. I have recently evolved my beliefs in the last 5 to 6 years where I no longer consider myself religious, in regards to religious beliefs while also just considering myself spiritual. I do not follow a title of what I am or anything, but believe in my soul that it's important to do meaningful celebrations and traditions that align with my lifestyle, values, personal beliefs in order to honor my personhood and a healthy balance of ensuring I don't self-abandon myself. I don't want to put myself into a box ever again, so I just focus on being in tune with myself. I now think that life is just way too short to do stuff just because that's how you were raised or was taught to do. I've overcome a lot of religious abuse as well as the mindset in which I was raised and that of my origin family. Some of my most traumatic life experiences happened on the account of my upbringing, the beliefs I was raised to believe, a result of religious abuse and generational trauma, where those dogmatic scriptures, beliefs, and texts led me to continually go down roads that did not protect me for the simple fact that they pushed self-sacrifice and religious-pleasing lifestyles that do not complement, protect, and support positive outcomes for women and sometimes children. I was taught to just do it because that's what the religion inspires, or what the social constructs say to do. It did not help that I just didn't know any better. I've let go the regret of this innocent ignorance and grief that it initially brought on. Looking back, I cringe at the decisions, choices, and enduring I had survived from that awful upbringing. I now recognize that as the hidden abuse for a good internal family image that I too was not aware of until recently, and just the disgusting dysfunctional family dynamic that has revealed itself since I've started to slash those generational curses. I was abused by one parent growing up, by the way, and told the other, who did nothing but took me to my extended family's church. They never stopped it, protected me, or stood up for me. Now, much later in adulthood, I'm realizing that both of them were abusive, just in different ways, and I understand my psycho-emotional disconnect from them and my origin family in general because I spoke up when it happened, even later in early adulthood, and I never realized their pattern of describing me as dramatic or continually trying to treat me like a child despite my very grown-up adult age were and is their way of trying to force suppression of my voice, diminish the truth, protect the original abuser, ignore my independence, growth, healness, and strength I've done the work to cultivate. My other siblings are dismissive and become extremely argumentative or defensive of our loving parents with any mention of how we grew up, or verbally attack me / talk about me to other family members like I'm the one with the issues with any effort I put forth to ask questions of why and to hold them accountable, or to just disassociate with an image I know is false, have my own life, and live truly as a loving and peaceful person, or even just enforce the boundaries that I need that provide safety and continual psycho, emotional, mental, and anti-manipulative protection. I've finally realized that my growth, healness, counseling, and the completion of my adult therapy program was and is a threat to the fake image they've all created after all these years. I did not tell them that I've done the work and have finally woke up from this reality due to therapy, because they just make stuff up and don't know that I know they talk about me behind my back. They don't know my current life business and just speculate and make up rumors and assumptions about me and what I have going on or why I'm acting the way I'm acting as truth, without ever even trying to even talk to me. The others just assume much of their revelation is truth, which is really just lies, misconstrued info, completely made-up speculation presented as triangulation and the truth dash. I am at peace, extremely successful, and have overcome many things that would typically break the average person. Any reinforcement of boundaries, standing up for myself, or attempt to distance myself from my parents since realizing how effed up they did me when this was happening, even with my forgiving them for this throughout my life. However, the older I get, when they continue to display the same patterns that were present during the abuse, now, including the thought of why did I even allow them a relationship with me in my life as an adult, because I get so disgusted with even the thought I'd ever allow a child to be abused by my spouse and let alone stay married to them for decades afterwards. I can't believe I invited them to my wedding and we were the loving bride side. Why was I so like, this is my family and we love each other? We're a close, happy family in my adulthood so long still? Until I woke up? There's so much I've since resolved with my therapist, and have done the work to heal from. These are just questions to share the process I went through for insight. Also, it's really pathetic when I think about how different of a compassionate and truly loving person that I've become. I couldn't even fathom allowing abuse in my life, or anything even remotely close to it, or especially to be done to a child. But here's more of how all my realizations have led me to where I am now. I am so glad that I am the very manifestation of when you know better, you do better. Oh, how the magicalness and bravery of individuals like Maya Angelou, Terrence Howard, and other past/currently alive ascended masters who did and are leaving the breadcrumbs that nourish the souls of humanity on earth today. The awakening and true freedom of thought and consciousness of myself has not only changed, but has elevated my existence and my life. I now experience the divine nature of love and revelation on a spiritual level that has brought abundance to me in every way and at every level. I've done so much work, healing, therapy, service, reflection, and growth, that the peace I feel daily is what I never imagined happiness would be like. To purely love and evolve as I truly am and meant to be, it's frustrating when the one group who we're taught is supposed to really be your people have been everything but that. In the last 4 years, my life before now had been turned upside down. In retrospect from now, I see why, as it had catapulted me into the healed, peaceful, and abundant life that I have now. But when everything started to happen, I really thought they, my family of origin, were there for me. I went to them for guidance and advice. I hadn't awakened to my newfound wisdom-filled reality at this point yet, and they appeared caring. So I thought. I went to them because I thought they were the only people in my life by this point who truly loved me unconditionally. Much happened. I took some of their advice in the very beginning, but at the same time I started to remember who the I am, and it was on and popping from there, baby. From the multiple crises that I'd found myself in all those years ago. I went to therapy, did counseling, shadow work, and started reparenting my inner child. I journaled and started to meditate, and the answers flowed through me. I allowed the plan for my life to take shape, and one after another, I started to solve my problems so gracefully, all while growing, healing, and finding the peace that I had in my life before these many situations developed. However, it was on a whole other level, an intrinsic peace that scaffolded into a snowball of peace in every area I've ever struggled. In the last year, though, I have survived what I would consider my dark night of the soul, and I feel remembered, like renewed into the person I always had been, but wasn't aware of until now. I now have strong boundaries that not only protect me, but they also hold me accountable to gracefully standing up for myself, my own personhood, my values, my beliefs, and that which keep me committed to the lessons I learned so painfully over these last few years, just from the not knowing any better and religion, patriarchy, and so much more of how I was raised that pain-wrenchingly just set me up for failure in this life, if I never had made a change. I'm so happy I learned about just how all these constructs and societal blockages were not for my flourishing in life, on my own. Finally, the realization. The more healed, awakened, and spiritual I became, the more I realized the family system that I was raised in saw me as a threat. Looking back, so much of what I went through and was done to me was beyond messed up and downright wrong and abusive. So now, there's this awkwardness of not knowing the true extent of the abuse and how I was raised beyond what I can remember. But what I do remember was jail-worthy, and I remember calling out that the parent who was doing it deserved jail time. But I was bullied, threatened with homelessness, and I was a child. I didn't know about all the resources available or what I could do besides tell my other parent. I did try to call out the obvious stuff as I got older, but I didn't understand that I was covertly bullied and gaslit when I tried to stand up originally. I was always told I need to forgive and forget, and what would do. And, we are here to love thy neighbor. Blue. My whole life, I didn't realize that I was the family scapegoat until 2024. No matter how much I tried with the things I knew were outwardly morally wrong then, It wasn't until therapy that anyone in addition to myself validated my experiences. That abuse is abuse, every last form of it, and it doesn't matter in what context it happens. Religious or political and about 20 other different forms, is not okay. So back to the awkwardness of having this lifelong, close family that I once thought was so strong and healthy, loving, both parents still together and in love, all 8 siblings with decent relationships. Not really. They're all really toxic, invisibly dead with that unseen abuse like financial, emotional, mental, cheating/se zool behind closed doors. What stays in this house type dysfunction that I'm sure I haven't seen because behind closed doors, the same trifling household we were raised in my whole life. Until I literally woke up within the last year to realize how jacked up they were and are. Thinking back to all the times I was not supported or protected, I was the one in the family, out of all 10 who was ever truly genuine, purely intentioned, loved unconditionally, and had no complex with control. It was just me. Ask me how I know. The very situations I found myself in these last 6 years, when I deconstructed from all things religious and political or anti-dignity, when I started to stand up against things without fear that were not okay, or for the true safety and benefit of humanity of living beings. Everything started to crumble and I became public enemy number 1 in my origin family and then marriage. I hate that I grew up so green and just didn't know about stuff until it happened to me in adulthood, like misogyny, chauvinism, patriarchy, that women are less than mindset, because I would have not married my ex. I was so naive and innocent/blind. I thought how I carried myself was strong and obedient to the word, never again, this second half of life will be my path. What makes me feel safe, protected, honored, loved, cherished, happy, filled with joy, and at peace. At first it was covert while they mistakenly forgot my boundaries or didn't know what I'm doing now, or the assuming and then making up their own thing and spreading the lie behind my back. Also, any attempt to speak up and honor the abuse and neglect in childhood that I've overcome and have healed from and ask simple acknowledgement for from my parents turns into excessive triangulation, bringing everyone into the mix again, in the shadows without my knowledge and behind my back. To point out my downfalls, I literally just overcome and healed from these last 4 years, and then continue making up lies about me, spreading false rumors to extended family I don't engage with, don't have a relationship with, or whom I've cut off for being too toxic, never changing. Making more false, grandiose accusations, saying I've talked about or down about people, made claims that I'm better than everyone, that it's all about me, etc. Literally, because all I did was reiterate my boundaries I've set, called people out for it, who have done toxic things to me. This is in addition to being accused of being all kinds of things because I've distanced myself from people who are not kind to me and who talk about me behind my back and have called me cruel names for calling them out on the toxic behavior they displayed towards me, for being my own person and holding my ground on my own decisions as a full 30-plus-year-old adult with my own family. I literally have an 8-plus-minute voicemail of an origin family member talking to someone about me like a dog, of all my private business, the hardships I've survived in the last 6 years, victim blaming me, and even making up quite a bit, because they unknowingly but-daled me last month and I received it and listened to the whole thing and haven't confronted them yet because I have in the past, and it just became a huge cesspool of Darvo, and because I know it'll be a waste of time. Now, for the last year, they know nothing and instead speculate and make up downright lies about me and my life. They have everyone sharing lies about me between the family, calling me after not hearing from them for months, and trying to start arguments over non-existent issues we've never had, taking a statement out of context and championing as a CCC she's doing this or that to me when they are the one calling me out of the blue, after already having done previous things to me that I yet again addressed and was ignored about, never changing the behavior or apologizing, and trying to start stuff with me while I was minding my own business. All this from a recent holiday that I no longer celebrate that they're fully aware of. In fact, I don't really celebrate most national holidays in the US anymore, and have expressed this several times with sincerity, whether they're religious or just made-up days that many go along with, and that's fine. but I just don't want to be in a box and only want to honor and celebrate things that have meaning to my life and doesn't cause undue drama or stress with many layers of things. They know I'm no longer religious. I have different beliefs and values now, and instead of respecting it, they spread rumors, accusations, lies, unproven opinions, attempting various forms of triangulation to target me. What makes it worse is that my relationship with my parents are so strained. They both took part in the abuse I suffered as a child. Being that I thought I had a really good relationship with one of them until this recent realization, I realized recently that they both were guilty, not just the one who committed it. The other always acted like they didn't know, but they did and admitted it recently. No say strained is an understatement, honestly, but I had trying to at least be LC because of their relationship with my own family I've had since adulthood. However, it was becoming increasingly difficult to even be around their religious talk and fake I love all my neighbors. I practice the daily religious routines every day and read the text daily I'm so devout act. On the outside, they look like they are just the epitome of devout faith individuals, and they are living in according to what religious dogma aim for. All while secretly knowing what they did and allowed in our household. All my memories are very clear to this day, especially since I've awakened. First Christmas was an issue, even though that was a boundary for me. I suggested they were welcome to celebrate the winter solstice with me. They declined, and I respected that. I offered a nice dinner the week beforehand as an alternative. Then it was Easter. I declined, as I've reminded them that I hold different beliefs and values now which have really cultivated my lifestyle being different from theirs now, and reminded them that it is not difficult for me to respect their beliefs and values, that I expect the same level of respect from them. As an alternative, since they too were interested in celebrating for a totally different holiday/celebration, as I honor the spring solstice, I suggested a nice lunch on a regular unanchored day to any meaning, and to drive to the country and have a day of exploration where we could end with a dessert picnic on a rolling hill in the place I mentioned. They declined. Since fully coming out the spiritual closet, most of my origin family has either lied about their communication service being interrupted, they have to work, most don't have jobs, or that they are so busy in their schedules, but are on social media all day secretly being judgmental, talking about people in general, strangers on the internet, who are in very difficult life/hard personal situations where they judge them based on the patriarchal and religious dogma we were raised in. It's really sad to me. I have no more interest in engaging with negative people. But what's really pathetic is they make up rumors and lies about me and start drama for my having my own separate lifestyle now every time a national political holiday, tied to some form of historical trauma, or a religious holiday comes around, as they mentally try to attack me because I didn't celebrate or honor them all, while not knowing I have proof of every last one of them talking about me badly behind my back with lies, and are spreading rumors about me that aren't true. Literally. The last straw was the most recent holiday, not calling or contacting them because I refused to have or remind them for the 1,000,000th time about that boundary, and standing up for my beliefs is so exhausting. There's nothing wrong with wanting to live around positive, encouraging and accepting people who live by love, and honoring everyone's humanity no matter their religion, gender, sex, background, status, etc., and just being kind to people in general, as long as they're not murdering or harming others, outside of self-defense, like true self-defense, and not the kind cruel people try to use as a cover to inflict harm. Everyone has a right to believe in and have the values that make them feel safe and whole. Long story short, I know I am not the for standing my ground and protecting my personhood, and that no one on earth is entitled to what I believe, value, or what I choose to celebrate or not. I'd like to add a note that I have done especially deep, caring, loving, and acknowledgingly beautiful actions throughout every year my whole entire life, and not just since this recent change in these last few years, like 12 to 20 times a year. I no longer try to keep explaining or trying to defend why I'm defending myself against disrespect and people who are not gentle towards me like I've been with them throughout my life. Always there. Always the one to support. I just do not care anymore. If I have to be along or start my chosen family over this time around, I will. I just despise drama and toxicity. I will not let it permeate into the peaceful life I've fought to build at this stage of my life.